morning everybody, good morning, it's JPR and welcome back to another video. Keeping in line with last week's video where we discussed weird features, this week we're taking a look at some of the weirdest moves to exist in Pokemon. Most moves are pretty straightforward, like Flamethrower is a strong fire move that has a chance to burn, Hydro Pump is a powerful but somewhat inaccurate blast of water, Psychic Fangs is biting people with psychic energy. Okay, I actually don't know how that one works. At this point, just make a Psychic Punch and call it a day. But other moves are a bit more vague as to why they do certain things or why they're learned by certain Pokemon. So let's go over some of these weird anomalies. First up is the move Curse. It's hecking confusing. So why does Curse work the way it does? Why does it cut the HP of Ghost-type Pokemon in half, but act as a stat-raising and lowering move at the same time for other types? Well, the answer is in the name itself, the Japanese name that is. The name of this move in Japanese is Noroi, which translates to either curse or slow, depending on the type of kanji used. I don't actually speak Japanese, I'm just reading this off the internet, so I hope that's accurate. The double meaning also explains why this move used to be mystery typed before it was changed in Gen 5. So yeah, it's basically a pun lost in translation. Just Japanese people having fun with words that have two meanings, like how in English a bat can be a wooden stick or a flying thingy. That's also why Curse can be learned by a variety of slow Pokemon, like Snorlax, Slowbro, the Regis, and Aerodactyl and Blaziken for literally no reason at all. Hey, it wouldn't be Pokemon if everything made sense. And of course, it should go without saying, but that's also why non-ghost types that use Curse have their speed lowered. This pun is also evident in the story told by an NPC in Celadon City in Pokemon Gold and Silver, where he tells a spooky tale about how a child riding a bike suddenly felt his pedals become heavier and the bike began dragging him backwards, only for him to realize that he was trying to pedal up the cycling road. Basically, he thought he was cursed, but he was just going slow, and then the gentleman gives you TM03 Curse for listening to his lame story. This joke didn't make it into Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, however, since Curse is no longer a TM in Gen 4, with him instead giving you a spell tag. 0 out of 10, terrible games. Also, did you know that starting in Pokemon X and Y, there is a glitch where you can actually curse yourself? As a ghost type, I mean, not the other version. This glitch involves using a Pokemon with the Protean ability and having it use Curse, turning itself into a ghost type. This not only cuts your own HP in half, but will also lay down the Curse on yourself at the end of the turn, as opposed to laying it on your opponent. But of course, the funniest way to use it would be to have your Kecleon skill swap the Protean ability onto an opponent that you know is about to use Curse. Since most Pokemon that set up with Curse are actually slower than Kecleon, this could be surprisingly feasible. And here's the real kicker. It still works in Pokemon Sword and Shield, and as far as I know, I'm the only person that has documented this. I think a lot of people just assumed that it was gone, since Kecleon and Greninja were both removed in Sword and Shield. But if you skill swap a Cinderace's Libero ability onto your own Slowbro, and then use Curse the following turn, you will get the same results. 8 years later, this glitch is still out there. You know, all they need to do to fix this is to just bring back the mystery type. I'm waiting, Game Freak! In Generation 6, 2 event-exclusive moves known as Hold Hands and Celebrate were introduced. What's so special about these moves? Well, they do absolutely nothing. Yep, these moves are basically glorified versions of Splash. Now, I'll give Celebrate a slight pass. It's supposed to be a wholesome little move that you can use against your friend on their birthday or something, and it will congratulate them for completing another trip around the sun, I guess? Whatever, it's innocent enough, and at least there's a couple dozen Pokemon that learn it. But as for Hold Hands, its only effect is making the user and its ally very happy. Except, not really. This move doesn't even raise happiness, which could have been great for raising baby Pokemon at the very least, but no, they just decided to make this one absolutely pointless. Which doesn't make me happy, it just makes me mad thinking about what it could have done. Furthermore, only 3 Pokemon were given away with this move: Pikachu, Charizard, and Vivian. How can this guy hold anything other than dust particles? At the very least, Gen 7 gave both of these moves some utility, with their Z-move variations boosting all of the user's stats by 1 stage, but in Gen 8, Z-moves are gone again, and even worse, Sword and Shield had the opportunity to prune these moves like they did with so many other innocent attacks, but chose not to. They're still in the game for God knows what reason. At least Splash is a move that you can laugh at and say, ha ha, look at that stupid fish flopping around. I get no satisfaction from these other ones existing. But speaking of Splash, many have often wondered why this move is normal type instead of water type. The answer, again, lies in the Japanese name, where Splash is instead simply known as Hop, which of course explains why numerous non-water Pokemon can learn it. Now, truthfully, the Japanese word Haneru can mean either hop or splash, but the translation team likely chose the latter since Magikarp was the only Pokemon that could learn it in Gen 1. However, this completely slipped by Niantic, who mistakenly programmed Splash as a water-type move in Pokemon Go, presumably for the sole reason that Niantic is a Western company and just simply didn't know any better. Though 5 years later, this has still not been corrected. The former signature move of Braviary, Skydrop, has had a very strange history. For starters, in Gen 5 there was a ridiculously broken glitch known as the Skydrop glitch, where if two Pokemon suspended in Skydrop were brought back to the ground by another Pokemon using gravity, the Pokemon that was grabbed by the user of Skydrop will become completely non-functional until it is KO'd. This could have been especially problematic in VGC competitions where double battles are the norm, since you could essentially turn the battle into a 2 versus 1 scenario for the entire match. This led to Skydrop being banned from online usage for the majority of Gen 5. Generation 6 would fix this bug by simply making it so that the move is cancelled whenever gravity is used. But another glitch would take its place in Gen 7, where if you attempted to use Skydrop on a Pokemon protecting itself with Spiky Shield, your Pokemon's HP would drop to 0, but it would never faint from the damage. Basically, the Pokemon becomes completely unusable, but completely invincible at the same time. Another change was made to the move in Gen 6 where the user can no longer lift Pokemon that are heavier than 441 pounds or 200 kilograms. I mean, it makes sense seeing as how the heaviest Pokemon that can learn Skydrop is Lugia, weighing in at 476 pounds or 226 kilograms. Obviously, you can't lift something that's heavier than yourself, but still, it just feels like a very odd and mundane change to make in the first place. In Generation 8, Game Freak finally had enough of Skydrop shenanigans and just removed it entirely from the game. Like they should have done with Celebrate and Hold Hands. Alright, stop the presses, it's time to hand out the award for the most needlessly edgy Pokemon move, Night Slash, or as it's called in Japanese, Crossroad Killing. Back in Gen 6, many questioned why Ash's incredibly powerful Greninja was stuck with Cut as its fourth move instead of Night Slash. This was made even more confusing when Ash's Greninja was given out to players of the Pokemon Sun and Moon demo, where Cut had been replaced by Night Slash. This led many to theorize that Night Slash's violent Japanese name was the reason why Greninja never carried the move, since it would be a little off-putting to hear the cheery 10-year-old Ash command his Greninja to crossroad kill somebody. This appeared to be backed up by the fact that only villainous characters like Paul and Alon had used the move up until that point. However, this myth has seemingly been busted, as in the current series, Ash's Sirfetch'd has used Night Slash countless times without any problem. I suppose it's possible that the anime staff changed their outlook over time, but it's still a little disappointing that we never got to see Greninja himself wield the move. By the way, the name Crossroad Killing refers to how in feudal Japan, some samurai would test their new swords by waiting at a literal crossroad and killing an unsuspecting bystander. God, that's unpleasant. Up next, we have the signature move of Kadabra and Alakazam, Kinesis. Now, Kinesis has been in the game since Pokemon Red and Green, but it wasn't able to be taught to Kadabra or Alakazam until Pokemon Yellow version. Before that, the only way to access Kinesis in Gen 1 was to hope you randomly selected it by using Metronome. Not that I'm sure why you'd even want to select it in the first place, seeing as how it's basically just Sand Attack with 20% less accuracy. Considering Alakazam's incredibly overpowering presence in Generation 1, I have to wonder why anyone would even consider using this move over the other amazing tools he gets access to. It's arguably one of the most pointless moves in existence, and essentially serves as nothing but a reference to Uri Geller and his spoon-bending abilities, who we mentioned in an earlier video regarding the banned Kadabra controversy. This may also be the reason why Kinesis is one of the only moves to never be used in the Pokemon anime. This move is so forgettable that even when they patched it back into Pokemon Sword and Shield, they forgot to update the text saying that Kinesis is no longer usable and should be deleted. Or maybe they're just trying to extend a helpful tip. Lastly, I figured we'd discuss some oddly timed signature moves. First up is Psystrike, the signature move of Mewtwo that oddly wasn't introduced until Generation 5, aka one of the only generations where Mewtwo happens to not be catchable. Speaking of Gen 5, a popular Unova Pokemon, Crocodile, wouldn't receive his signature move until Gen 7, that being Power Trip. Of course, in Gen 8, Power Trip is no longer the signature move of Crocodile, but still weird that it came along 6 years after Crocodile's introduction. As a matter of fact, it actually originated as a TCG attack exclusive to Crocodile, although it's translated into English as Bombast instead of Power Trip. The Japanese name and the way it functions are almost identical to Power Trip in the games, though. Another Gen 5 Pokemon, Heatmor, wouldn't receive its signature move Fire Lash until Gen 7, a generation that Heatmor wasn't even obtainable in without the usage of Pokemon Bank. Gen 7 would also give us Toxic Thread, Ariados' signature move, which lowers the opponent's speed and also poisons them. This one feels especially random. If they wanted to buff Ariados, they could have done it in a variety of other ways instead of just giving it Spicy String Shot. Plus, unlike Power Trip or Fire Lash, this move is still exclusive to Ariados. Nobody else learns it. What's the point? I guess we'll never fully know the thought process behind some of these weirder moves, but nonetheless, it's something cool to talk about. If you enjoy hearing me ramble about moves for this long, then definitely consider subscribing to the channel. I think it's safe to say that you'll like it around here. And as always, be sure to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time.